Welcome to the solution for the hands-on activity practicing creating lists and tables. Now that you have completed the hands-on activity, let me walk you through how I would approach these tasks. By the end of this video, you will be able to create and manage a dataset using Excel lists and tables, learning how to effectively sort, filter, and format data. You will also customize Excel's interface to improve your workflow and use Copilot to automate tasks and gain insights. Starting with entering key details, you'll structure the data using Excel's table features for easy management. Additionally, you'll automate tasks like sorting and filtering, as well as calculating contributions, ensuring an organized and actionable guest list. Now we need to create a new workbook by navigating to the File tab and selecting New, or using the keyboard shortcut Control and New. We need to save this workbook. You can save by clicking on the name of the workbook at the top of the screen and renaming this to Guest List. And then selecting Save. In the first worksheet, we want to rename the tab to Lists. In column A, we'll add the header Guest Name, and in column C, we'll add the header Dietary Requirements. In column A, you can begin adding a list of your guests' names, and in column C, you can begin brainstorming a list of possible dietary requirements that you're willing to cater for. Now that you've created these lists, we need to turn them into a data set. So let's add a new worksheet by clicking on the plus symbol or using the keyboard shortcut Shift, Function, and F11. In our new worksheet, let's rename this to Guest List. We also need to add some headers, and then you can enter your data. You can also copy the information from the dataset we've downloaded by selecting Ctrl and A to select all, and then Ctrl and C to copy. And in our new workbook, press Ctrl and V. You can add other guests to the bottom of this dataset. If we assess this dataset, the contact numbers are not being saved in the correct format. We can change this format by highlighting the data range, and from the drop-down list in the Numbers group, select More Number Formats and then Custom. The style we want to use is by adding a 0 to the front of the numbers and then the digits. You represent this by using hashtags. Select OK, and your format is updated. We can convert this dataset into a table by selecting the data range using Ctrl A and then using the shortcut Ctrl and T. In the pop-up Create Table dialog box, ensure My Table Has Headers is checked, then select OK. We can customize and format this table in the Contextual tab that pops up, called Table Design. On the far right, you'll see Table Styles, and from the drop-down list, you can choose a style that suits your needs. Finally, we want to customize the RSVP response column. We can do this by selecting the column in column E, navigating to the Home tab. From the Styles group, select the drop-down menu next to Conditional Formatting. Under the Highlight Cells rules, go to Text That Contains, and we want to highlight text that contains Yes in a green fill with dark green text. Then select OK. Let's follow the same steps for the answer of Maybe. And where the response is Maybe, let's highlight this with yellow and a dark yellow text. You can also create these conditional formatting rules using Copilot. Use the prompt. In the RSVP column, highlight No in a red fill with a dark red text. Press Enter to execute the prompt. And then select Apply. Now our table is ready for some data management. We can ask Copilot to sort our table alphabetically by the guest name. Perhaps we want to see this in descending order. Select Enter. Don't forget to hit Apply. Now our table has been sorted, as you can see in column A. Next, we might want to filter the guest list to see the guests that have not yet responded. Here we can use the prompt Filter the guest list to show only the guests who have not yet responded, where the RSVP response is blank. Next, we can hit Apply. Now you have a list of guests that you can quickly follow up with. For the next insight, we might want to calculate the total contribution from each guest. You can use the prompt Calculate the total contribution from each guest by adding the food and gift contributions. Once the prompt is executed, select Insert Column. We can also request insights from Copilot, and we might want to know the number of guests per dietary requirement. Use the prompt Summarize the number of guests per dietary requirements, and once this is executed, you can add it to a new sheet. Now you can see the number of guests you need to cater for depending on the dietary requirement, which makes catering a breeze. Finally, we might want to analyze the RSVP response column per guest. We can use the prompt Summarize the number of guests per RSVP response. Again, once the prompt is executed, we can add this data into a new sheet so that you can quickly keep track of who has responded and who hasn't. Great! Let's recap what we've done. In this activity, you learned to create and manage guest lists in Excel. You began by entering and organizing guest details into a new workbook, creating separate worksheets for general guest information and detailed contact data. The next step involved converting this data into a table to facilitate sorting and filtering. You then applied formatting and color coding to enhance readability. With Copilot, you automated tasks such as sorting and filtering and performed calculations to track contributions.